Where Eisenberg. He will be introduced and given speech objectives by Bill Singer.
For anybody who does not know, Robert wrote a book. The title of his speech is What So Funny? The time of the speech is 6 to 8 minutes. And his objective for the speech is his speech is actually a mock book signing. So he's going to be doing a book signing. And he's hoping to use the book signing to help sell his books. So he wants to know if the speech he's going to do is going to help his sales of his book, and hopefully get potential book buyers to purchase his book.
Thank you, everybody. I'm glad you came. I want you all to know that I want to sign a lot of books today, but please, please don't grade me on penmanship, because I'll get a bad grade. The reason I wrote this book is one of my great pleasures in life is to write and write and write, and have people laugh along with me. Even a smile will make me happy. And what's happened with this book is that I have gotten a lot of funny stories just from writing the book. In other words, stories that have happened since I wrote the book. For instance, my sister-in-law read the book, and she called me. She was very upset. And I wanted to know what she was upset about. And she said, that party that Charlotte had in Texas, I wasn't invited. And I thought, and about 20 minutes later I called her back. And I said, the reason you weren't invited is because there wasn't a party. I made it up. And it bothered me because I knew my sister didn't like her, but she would have had her anyway because she was crazy about my brother. So that's one funny thing that happened. Another thing is that I'm not doing an audio, but I have a guy from Texas doing it. He lived in the East Coast, and he moved to Texas probably about 10 years ago. And he's a really nice guy. And what happened is, there's a story in there about me going into a delicatessen in New York. I'm about 22 years old. And I'm living in Manhattan, but I go into this delicatessen that I kept passing by when I would be in the Bronx. And it was this aroma of corned beef and half-sour pickles that would just tease me. I would want to go in so bad, but I couldn't because the girlfriend I had at the time hated deli. So I couldn't get myself up enough nerve to go in there in order for one. But one day I did. I waited in a long line, and finally when it came my turn, the guy behind the counter took one look at me, and it was hate at first sight. What do you want, sonny boy? He said to me. And I said something like, I'll have around 30 cents worth of smoked salmon. We don't have smoked salmon here, boy, sonny boy. We have Lux. So he started cutting it up. He says, it's a little over. Is that okay? We went through this, and I asked for about 20 cents worth of cream cheese. He says, a little under. Is that okay, sonny boy? Finally, he adds the whole thing up after I asked for one bagel. And he says, sonny boy, it comes to 93 cents on the top of his lungs. And then he says, what are you having, a party? Well, the Texan read it. Because he's a nice guy. He read it, what are you having, a party? I said, no. It's not. He's not being nice. He's not interested as to whether I'm having a party. He's saying, what? Are you having a party? So finally, after working with him for about a half an hour, he got it. Then there was another section in the book where I go to parties in New York. And the way that all came about is when I was 4 years old, I went to my best friend's 4-year-old birthday party. And I couldn't count, but by the time he got his 13th or 14th present, I started screaming, that one's mine! His mother said, no, that's Howard's. I said, no, he has enough. That one's mine. Well, she called my mom, and I went home kicking and screaming. That one was mine. For years afterwards, nobody would have me to a party. Confirmations came, bar mitzvahs came. No, we can't have him. He'll cause a ruckus. We can't have him. Weddings came, same thing. I had to move to New York where nobody knew me. So I'm going to a party because nobody knows about my reputation. And some woman walks in, and I want to meet her. Her name is Dominique, and she's a head editor in some magazine. And I walk over to her, and she says, yes. She's not interested. Well, when the audio guy read it, he said, yes. I said, no. It's yes. Anyway, then we had the thing with Kai, where I started talking about the same story about going to parties, and I end up in Newburyport, and I say, we found out we were at the B party, so we had to move from Newburyport to Lexington. And when we got to Lexington, nobody was drinking, nobody was smoking. Everybody was talking about their 13 and 14-year-olds getting early admission into Harvard and MIT. Well, Kai read this, and she said, that's me. She said, we're all Tiger moms. And that's what we sit around talking about, getting our 13 and 14 years old into MIT and Harvard. To sum up the many things in this book that are going to amuse you, and there are so many things that I hope will amuse you, but pick up this book. Note how light it is. It probably doesn't weigh more than 3 or 4 ounces. And you can stick it in a pocketbook, a travel bag. You can carry it just about anywhere. And when you talk about it being light, the reading is light. It ain't no War and Peace. And thank God it is no War and Peace. I think